Right. Good afternoon. Mind you, you'll be getting this in the evening. Yeah, still a bit croaky, still a bit there, but a lot better than I have been. Anyway, I've heard about this person some time back, and I never could find the video. And Bob, out of the blue, there it came up on my recommended on YouTube. Excuse me. Um, this is not for anyone who's easily offended. This guy really is quite something else. I mean, look at him. How old is he? Early 20s at the most. But yeah, just listen to his views. Yep, can't really blame him. Nobody go and hound him or give him rubbish because I'm sure he's had quite a lot of that. Um, where his views come from? Well, I don't know. Um, anyway, here we go. Look, anyone who's offended, this isn't the one for you.
Are the physical manifestation of sensory perception. And in the same sense that when your senses are overloaded in any particular way, whether they're overloaded with pleasure or overloaded with pain, if your senses keep receiving that same stimulus over and over, you are not going to have as strong of a reaction.
He's talking about women, by the way. Not just one or two, like all of us. All of us ladies.
To that same stimulus. In this same sense, being that women are the physical manifestations of this phenomenon, that is why women's value must be preserved. They can't be trusted to handle anything of greater responsibility, anything of greater importance than daily household chores.
Are we getting this, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, have we got our wives and our girlfriends in line here? Yeah, we don't have to go to work anymore. We just got to do household chores. I mean, okay.
And taking care of babies. Not taking care of children, taking care of babies. Because once babies turn into children, that's when the psychological development comes into place, which far exceeds the capabilities that women are able to provide for the child. But going back to the value preservation.
Uh, Excuse me? What? Okay, so we're only good as long as the babies are on the boob, and then after that, we can't be trusted. Not at all. Not for millennia that women have been the nurturers and the child rearers kind of thing. No, this guy's got his own ideas on that. We're useless. We're absolutely useless. Put us back in the kitchen. Get on with it. Start doing the laundry.
Women's value has to be preserved, while a man's value has to be created. Women are born with inherent value, men are born with no value, or next to no value. They're born with the potential for value. That's why when you see a young woman who hasn't done anything with her life, nobody's going to look down on her if she doesn't want to go to college or if she doesn't want to work. Nobody's going to think less of her for not wanting to do those things. Whereas
I think the 16th century is missing a character. What is he going on about?
they definitely will look down on a young man who doesn't want to go to college and doesn't want to work and doesn't want to improve himself. Since women are born with inherent value, it can't actually be increased in the same way that a man's can. Men's value is based on what they've done and the type of person that they've turned themselves into, what kind of value they've brought into the community in which they're living.
Does he live under a rock? I mean, he really does, doesn't he? This sort of nonsense doesn't offend me at all. I know some people it will really offend them, and it has. I just find this hilarious. This guy. I mean, look at him. He's just past the child himself, but he's figured it all out.
Or into the larger society. But a woman's value is not based on that. The reason a woman has inherent value is because her value is based on her fertility. To put it bluntly, that's what it's based on. Women's value is based on their fertility. That's why it's in the best interest of a woman not to waste her inherent value and try to lock down a high value man or a man who looks like he's on his way to becoming high value as soon as she can. The more
What are women? What are the women that he meets? I mean, no one's going to lock you down, darling. You're not a catch. Yeah, I don't know where he lives. Sis, It's not normal.
Experiences a woman goes through, the less value she has as a woman. And it's not just fertility either, it's also based on her ability to stay with a mate. Children are more likely to survive if the father's in the home. Children grow up much healthier and much happier and are much more successful later in life when the father is present. And not just present.
There's plenty of people that will say that that isn't the case. I mean, yeah, in an ideal world, everyone stays together and life's great. But it doesn't always work out like that in the world that we live in, and there are plenty of single parents out there, both male and female, who have brought into the world incredibly successful children. He's very narrow. Well, God, yeah, just a bit.
But consciously involved in the children's lives. That's why stepfathers don't really do the trick. You can't just inject a male.
Oh no. Where's he get that from? He's just insulting everyone now.
Person into a child's life and say, this is your new father now. That's not how psychology works. That's not how human brains work. The child.
Well, we don't know how your brain works, but it's a bit whacked, fella. It's a bit whacked. He's just insulted stepdads. There are loads of successful stepfathers out there. Ugh.
Knows it's not their actual father. And before any idiots go, well, I formed a bond with my stepfather, I'm aware that exceptions exist. I would still argue that you're not as close to your stepfather as you would have been to your biological father had you had the chance. But like I said, the more experiences, whether positive or negative, that a woman goes through decreases her value because women cannot handle the stresses or the pleasures of life. The more
What? I've had more than 100 years worth of stress in my life. Oh God, this guy. Who is he?
stress she goes through, the more she sees the world as nothing more than a negative place. And I've mentioned this in a previous video, but
No, that can apply to people who have not gone through stresses in life. Some people just see the dark side and the downside of everything. The world is an incredibly cruel place, can be an incredibly cruel place, but I still believe that most people are inherently good, and yeah, there's loads in this big old world that we live in to enjoy. God, it's just an absolute little fountain of positivity.
but it's because women are not able to connect with God in the same way that
Oh,
men are.
no.
Women are not able to
Oh, here we go. That's where he gets his views from. Fundamental Christian.
renew themselves mentally. They see everything on earth through the lens of the material. They see everything on earth through the lens of sensory perception. If
What is he going on about? So we're all greedy.
something doesn't excite them enough, then it's not a good thing. If something stresses them out too much, then it's also not a good thing.
Well, no, stress, it doesn't matter what gender you are. If you can sort of like bring stress down in your existence, it's a good thing. Stress, bad thing. No stress, good thing.
Everything has to be new, everything has to be fresh, everything has to be exciting all the time, 100% of the time, otherwise it's bad. That's how women see the world. They don't have an accurate lens of reality through which they see the world. They just don't see reality. They interpret the quality of reality through the type of sensory
Oh my God, this is awful.
input they're receiving. That's why girls don't work out. You ever wonder why the vast
What girls don't work out? Where does he live? Does he not see ladies jogging along in the mornings before he goes to work? I mean, if he's old enough to have a job, we don't know. Does he not see that? What?
majority of women don't work out. They're fortunate enough to be born with a nice looking body, and then it just wastes away. They don't work out. They could preserve their body a little bit by working out, but that's why. It's because it hurts. Working out hurts. And since women only interpret the world through sensory perception,
Try giving birth, my friend. It's a little bit worse than a bit of muscle burn, I can tell you, down at the gym. What is he going on about? What a moron.
anything that hurts is a bad thing. They can't handle it. They literally can't handle working out. That's how strongly this influences their mind. And just as when I was saying earlier, when a woman goes through too many negative experiences, she's not able to renew herself because women are not as connected to God. They're not able to refresh themselves psychologically. They're not able to detach themselves from the material world. And don't let their astrology fool you either. All this crystals, all the chakra, the healing bullshit, there's no such thing as chakras. There's no such thing as crystals, light.
Well, there is such a thing as crystals, like they do physically exist, which is more than can be said for God. Now, I'm not saying he does exist, not saying he doesn't exist. Never seen him myself, have seen a crystal. Do I think you can move a bit of furniture around and like your whole world's going to be a load better? No, I really don't. I don't believe in any of this nonsense. But, oh God, he's awful.
Lighting incense, all of that is still sensory. There's no divine presence there. It's still, just because it makes them feel good doesn't mean that there's a divine presence there. They might feel a tiny bit of divine presence because typically when they interact with these things, they're becoming more still in body, and that's how you gain greater contact with God. That's how you connect yourself better with the divine presence. But since they're not able to go all the way, they're satisfied with sensory perception. They think that the crystals are...
And I'm absolutely sure this guy, if you actually look at this video, the amount of little jump cuts in here, he can't even remember more than a sentence.
The divine presence. They think that the incense or the astrological signs are the divine presence, when really it's just more sensory perception. It's just more material, surface level interpretation. But in the same sense that negative experiences...
See, I'm zoning out now. This is just like words now, isn't it? It's mindless drivel at its finest.
Traumatized them in a way that cannot be recovered from. So do pleasure experiences. If a woman has the best sex of her life with a guy, she will never be able...
And I can imagine not a single female has actually said that about you, sir.
...to enjoy another man again. It has to stay at that high level. You ever wonder why divorce courts favor women? It's because the objective is to maintain the woman's lifestyle. No attention is given to the man's lifestyle. Nobody...
That's not true now. That's not true at all.
...gives a single fuck about men, okay? Just for you guys thinking you're gonna change the divorce courts, men need to be given more rights. Men need to be prioritized in court. None of that shit's ever gonna happen. That's never, ever, I can't even emphasize how that's never going to happen. It's just not. But back to what I was saying. The woman's lifestyle is to...
He's got a perception here that the judiciary in the court system is fair. I mean, I know he is brand new. Look how young he is. But yeah, the court system will never be fair. Never has been. Never will be.
To be maintained. That's the priority. Now, the positive implications of this prioritization would be that if the woman has a small child and the dad's a deadbeat, then yeah, we would want to make sure that they're financially set up. But in the vast majority of divorce cases...
LB put a but in there. You know, he's just like invalidated what you said there with the deadbeat dad and the mum with the little kiddie. Okay, but...
and just cases dealing with men and women in general, none of those details are taken into consideration. It is only taken into consideration that she is a woman, and due to our feminist culture, she's inherently a victim, and he is a man, which means he's inherently a perpetrator. And he's...
What? Look at he has no life experience whatsoever. He's not even winding me up. I just cannot believe how bad this is. Who made this person? I mean, if either of my boys ever spoke like this. Well, they wouldn't, because clearly they haven't had the weird upbringing that he's had to actually think these views are normal. Maybe he had an incredibly submissive mother in his life. God only knows.
He's inherently a bad guy. And so the rewards, the fruits of the man's labor are given to the woman, regardless of the context of the situation. But jumping back to what I was saying, even pleasurable experiences are too much for the woman to handle because they cannot refresh themselves. They can't see men in a new light. They can't appreciate different aspects of the man.
This It's just utter mindless drivel. Yeah, ladies, don't ever think you've had an enjoyable time in anything you've ever done. You weren't. You just making it up. You know, when you was cracking up, laughing, having a cracking time out for dinner with your friends, you hated every minute of it. And you know why? Because you're too dumb. You just pretended.
man. All they see is whoever gives them the most dick, whoever gives them the most
What?
exciting experience.
Oh my god. He's talking like about women, like all of them. So we're talking from the age of say 20 all the way through to 90. But all women, we're just going for the D. That's it. We don't get pleasure out of anything else apart from the D. What's happened?
Whoever takes her on the most expensive date, on the more expensive date, he's the one who's gonna take the cake. She
Okay, so he's talking about pretty shallow people that he's come into contact with at his tender age then, where you haven't quite worked out the world and it is about what fashion and all the rest of it. I was no different when I was younger. No different at all. Um but I wasn't chasing the D like it was the only source of entertainment.
will forever look at every other date after that with a sense of pity. You ever notice how girls who've been ran through or just more attractive girls tend to look at men with a sense of resentment or a sense of pity? Or they look at nice guys.
No, not at all. No, maybe that's just women how they look at you, fella. And it's a mystery as to why they might actually look at you like you really would be, I don't know, 120th on the list if there was an Armageddon and there was only 120 men left.
Is definitely with a sense of pity as well. It's almost like, oh, it's so cute. Look at him trying so hard. He thinks this is actually impressing me. Look at him trying so hard to impress me. Why is he trying? It's almost like they're confused. They're like, why is he
It's almost like we're confused. Uh-oh, we don't even know. We don't know, we're confused. I'm confused with this.
trying so hard to impress me? What have I done to deserve such effort? None of the other guys have ever put in this much effort before. They're confused as to why you would try so hard for them. Even they are not confused about the amount of value they provide. Even they understand that they are ruined. Even they understand that their value has gone out the window. It went out the window with the first 100 guys they slept with.
Oh my goodness. And let's not forget, he's talking about women. Like all women? Just the 100 chaps then. Christ.
And I do mean 100. You guys don't realize how utterly abundant women's sex options are. Most women's sex options, from even for average
Yeah, he's just angry because no one wants him. That's what it is. He's just a bit butthurt.
girls, are through the roof. And it's because of the dynamic. Men are the ones who are supposed to approach the women. Therefore, women are naturally going to have more options. It just makes it seem like that. That's why women's egos are through the roof. That's why the moment they don't get this attention, they go fucking nuts.
Cool, he's got a few mummy issues or something going on here, and he's talking about psychology. But I guess he's smart because look, he's filming this in front of a bookcase.
Because it's been that way their entire lives. That's why women can't acknowledge that they do have it easier in life. That's why women can't acknowledge the privileges they have in life, because it's been a part of their life their entire lives. But don't be fooled. Even they understand that their value is gone. That's why they don't like guys treating them with appreciation. That's why they don't like guys.
Utter nonsense. Oh, look. Oh, God. This person. What the actual. Oh, can you imagine if you was a woman and you've produced this and unleashed it into the world?
Guys treasuring them because they know they're not treasures. They know they're not worthy of that treatment, but they're in such denial. Women are masters of self-denial. Or rather, not self-denial, but they're masters of going into denial. They don't deny themselves anything. They'll take anything they can get. Women
Oh my God. Yeah, we're just there being let loose. We're out in the general population, grabbing everything we can, whether it's penis, you know, cars, clothes, you know, just there looking for the D, predatoring around the place.
Say men will fuck anything and then be the anything that gets fucked. It's so funny because
Bit rude.
for all the resentment towards men that ran through women have, they sure do seem to have sex with them all the time. They'll still take anything they can get. They don't. It's not like they turn down men's advances. It's not like they just turn away sex altogether. They don't become abstinent. They'll still take anything they can get, while at the
I think you're abstinent, aren't you, fella? Yeah, and I'm no one to talk either. I'm no one to talk.
same time pretending that they're not that type of person. They're just as degenerative as the degenerative men. Don't let the fact that men are the ones approaching women confuse you. Women are just able to hide it because of the natural dynamic. Nobody can see this underlying dynamic. It's like so obvious. It's observable in our everyday life.
So it's so obvious, but no one can see it, apart from you, fella.
And yet nobody can see this. Nobody can take their awareness just an inch deeper and see, yeah, you know what? Men are the ones approaching women. Women are the ones getting approached. So naturally, it would make sense that women have more abundant options and they're able to hide things easily and they're able to make it seem like they don't want it as bad and they're able to make it seem like they're just victims and really the men are the perpetrators. Things are much more nuanced and complex than the vast majority of people will ever realize, much less admit to. But I don't want to ramble on for too long. I think I've spoken on this long enough. Smash that like button if you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe if you're not.
Yeah, don't do any of those things. And actually, when not many people would like the video, oddly enough. Right, anyway, that's him done. How does this even happen? How does this even happen in this day and age? How are attitudes like that even in existence? What's wrong with him? That's what I want to know. What is wrong with him? I mean, clearly he's having trouble, like getting a girl. Thank goodness. Can you imagine what a dog's life you'd have, having to listen to this droning on day in, day out? Ugh, awful. God only knows what his other opinions are. Ugh. Anyway, that's him, and he's really offensive. But I did warn you. Anyway, look after yourselves. Take care, and I'll catch you again soon. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.